You're listening to the Beyond Measurements and Image podcast, where we build healthier lifestyles, elevate your well-being, and transform lives. Welcome to BMI.
I'm your host, Dr. Drew Crawford. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist and obesity medicine specialist. Thank you for joining me today on Beyond Measurements and Image. For today's guest, life changed in an instant. A back injury during his military service left him in a wheelchair and eventually in the grip of addiction. The uniform came off, the wheelchair rolled in, and the silence became loud as pain management became a prison of its own. But he'll be the first to tell you, being a veteran with a disability is not the same as being a disabled veteran. That exact mindset is what saved him. From his pain, from this addiction, and from every voice along the way that said he wouldn't make it out alive. This episode is about what happens when strength is rediscovered in the midst of struggle, when the battle shifts from the body to the mind, and when redemption begins in the quiet decision to try again. It's a story that reminds us that even when life strips everything away, the strength to rebuild is still within us. One breath, one step, 1 mile at a time. Let's get into it. Today we're here with Zach Browers. He's going to tell us a story about his life, where he began, where he came from, and the road that he took that led him into some lifestyle choices that, in hindsight, if he had to do over, he would do differently. But the amazing thing is Zach has made those decisions and has come back from those decisions and has done great things. So today we're going to hear Zach's story. Zach, thanks for joining.
Thank you. I actually was raised up in South Carolina. It was a little bit of a bouncing back and forth. My father moved around. Non-military. I ended up from South Carolina at about age 14. I went to California, lived with my mother. From there, my mother and stepfather left California the year after my graduation, moved to Oklahoma here, and that's where they resided. I moved with them, got here, was lost, had really no friends, had no ambitions, really no guidance. I let myself go down a path that was not good. Long story short, I was laying in a hotel room and I was 19, 20. I saw a commercial and I picked up the phone and I called it. Next thing I know, through a process of about a week, went down to Oklahoma City, went through the military entrancing process, went in the military. One enlistment turned into another enlistment, so on. Almost 21 years later, I retired. The latter part of my career, I was deployed, and this is a story that I'm going to leave for another time for a story of its own because it's kind of a long one. But I got injured and broke my back and was in a wheelchair for a while. Finished out my years, retired out. After retirement, I was worse.
Worse in terms of lost?
Mentally, physically, I didn't feel any meaning.
Yeah.
It's like the wind had been taken out of my sail. Going from 100 miles an hour to essentially reverse was tough. It was tough. So I really didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, or where I was going to. I didn't know what direction I was going.
Yeah.
So the first step we took is I had to figure things out. So my wife found a very good doctor. And I've been with her, like I said, for about 12 years now and started to make some progress, but it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took some time. We had to, as you always hear that cliche, peel back the layers of the onion. So,
and was this like a primary care physician
yes,
type or
well,
like
no,
a psychiatrist?
No, she's psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, okay.
Yeah, she used to work for the VA for several years and went on her own private practice. She came highly recommended. And so I said, okay, I'll go. Sure, we'll give it a shot. Well, needless to say, 12 years ago and still going. But it was between that and trying to think when it really was the catalyst that spoke. Not quite sure, but one day I woke up and I said, you know what? Enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dying. I'm killing myself.
And in what way?
I had a 100 microgram fentanyl patch that I wore, transdermal fentanyl patch, 24 hours. And I was taking 60 milligram Oxycontin time release twice a day.
Wow.
So I was killing myself.
And this was all from
my
injury that you sustained in the military.
Yeah. And from that injury, the reason why it got to that point is When I broke my back, I ended up with a lot of surgeries. I've got a stimulator. I've got some fusions. I've got a lot of hardware in my spine. It wasn't so much the physical much as it was. Well, I was keeping myself down is what I was doing.
Right.
One day I woke up and said, enough's enough. This spiral downward wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything positive. Nothing future, nothing currently, nothing. So that's when I decided enough's enough. I had constantly been told nonstop, oh, you can't ever come off this stuff.
Yeah.
Or you'll die. It'll kill you. It'll cause some type of a trauma. Drew, I'm here to tell you, it didn't.
Right.
It didn't at all. And that's when I started the process of detoxing, 2018.
And you did that by yourself?
I did with the support of my wife, but not any inpatient care. No, I detoxed on my own. It was tough. I ended up in the hospital twice, but that was due to depletion in potassium.
Okay.
So, and that's what the physician that was in the ER at the time said, hey, man, you're doing great, but you can't let this deplete. This is what will harm you.
Right.
It's not the opioid withdrawal. It's the depletion of potassium, other essential aminos and vitamins in your body. I eventually battled through that, and it took some time.
How long did it take?
Well, from the detox, physically about 8 weeks. Oh man, it wasn't so much the fentanyl as much as it was the Oxycontin. It was tough. And then once it got to the point where I almost couldn't do it, I looked at her and I said, I can't. I need some kind of breakthrough. Now I tell everybody, once you get to that point, if you're detoxing, hang on, you're almost there.
You're almost there.
It's like the light is right there. So
when you say you struggled, was it because you were in pain, or was it just like the neuropsychiatric component?
Yes.
And I've got to have that to get through.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
And it's one of those things where opioids make your body worse. It's more detrimental to your health. My pain receptors weren't working well.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept having to up the dosage to help combat that pain. So by the time it was time to detox, it was horrible. I felt everything, every single pain, every headache. It was horrible. That I'm glad I got to go through, because that's a constant something that I do not want to go through again.
Right.
But once I got through that, it's then it was more of I had to, how's the best way to describe this? It was like being reborn again.
Mm-hmm.
I had to rethink and relive and redevelop all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Everything. So you were 19, you were lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were 40, I guess when you got out of the military-ish, and you were lost. And then you go down this road, kind of unwillingly, but you landed up down this road. Typically when you think of a soul that's just sort of lost kind of throughout time, they're not the ones that come to mind to find that inner strength that you had to have to get through that. So was that Pam? In the end, it had to be you, but did she help you find that? How did you get to that point?
You hit on something very important. When I speak about my sobriety, for those that I have spoken to, I always tell them, have a support system.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone in your corner. I had Pam in my corner, and thankfully she had taken that time off from vacation from work so that she could be there with me. It was tough. I couldn't focus. You need someone there. If you're going to do it outside of inpatient care, you need a very strong support system, someone that you can trust, or a group that you can trust who's is going to be for you.
Yeah.
Your marbles are scrambled. You really can't focus.
Yeah.
You don't quite know what you're doing. And when I said, you're reborn all over again, you're having to redevelop. I had to learn what hunger pains were again.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. It was tough.
Yeah. So that strength came from...
I've always had that.
Yeah.
I've always been competitive. I think that's what took the wind out of my sail as I was going 100 miles an hour in the military. Just stopped. After high school, I played athletics all the way through high school. It's multi-sport letterman. When it stops. And it's just, where do I go from here?
When you retire, whether it's a high school change or out of the military, you want to have something to retire to as opposed to something to retire from.
Yeah.
And so few people get that. And when you're 18 and just, quote, retiring from high school, it doesn't make sense. But if you don't have a purpose, sort of a plan de vida, a plan for your life, boy, it's awful hard to focus. It's hard to focus on nothing.
It is. And it's funny you hit on that. Is my first enlistment, military, more of a refuge.
Mm-hmm.
I needed something. And then I ended up re-enlisting again because, hey, this was starting to give me some meaning.
Yeah.
And that's where I found was meaning in the military. It was one of those that if I was to do it over, I'd do it harder.
Yeah.
I would. And regardless if I was to be injured or what the outcome would have been. But after that was over with, it's done.
Right.
And it's like, what do I do from here? Disabled. Well, that's what I thought then. I'm not disabled. I'm a veteran with a disability, not disabled.
Big differentiation.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. So I'm assuming like when you were in the military in combat, you were clearly in excellent physical shape, presumably very active. I mean, nobody in the military is probably just sitting on their butt.
Well, for the most part, yeah.
So not only were you psychologically engaged with sort of a purpose of life, but you also had all of your physical capabilities. And then all of that was taken from you at the same time. It's not like just one part of that went away. That all went away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the medical community that we have, just Western medicine, I'm a physician, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Western medicine, so oftentimes the answer is a pain pill, an antidepressant, a patch, whatever, and not getting to the root of the problem. And it sounds like that was a part of what happened here.
Well, and I understand where the doctors were coming from. They were wanting to make sure that I was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that, like he said earlier, it's not a long-term solution.
Yeah.
It's not at all. And it's for short term, and that's what it needs to be used for. But honestly, it's a dead end road for me. So, but that, that's hindsight for me. I've went down the wrong path with opioids addiction. It almost took my life.
So you were in the military 21 years?
Almost 21.
So what year was that you were injured and retired?
Well, I didn't retire until 2015.
2015.
Yeah, I got injured in 2007.
Okay.
So I spent most of that time, I did some convalescent leave. I actually went on staff. So it was shore duty.
Mm-hmm.
I had an admiral that he was captain, one of my commands, and he took me on board so that I could finish out. So it was a pretty good deal. Wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't, it was just one of those things, it wasn't, I'm no war hero, nothing like that. It was just doing my job. So, but it happened.
Well, you served, and so you are a hero.
Well, there's a lot of guys that are worse off and did a lot more. So I was just doing my part. The most work came after. The military portion was rather easy. You just do as you're told.
Yeah.
So for the most part, but now it's a whole different story. So
came out in 2015.
Yeah.
And then from 2015 till the time that you decided, you said you woke up one day and just decided I have to do something different.
2018.
Okay. So 3 years
after I retired.
Were you doing any sort of physical activity or were you wheelchair bound that entire 3 years?
I wasn't completely wheelchair bound. At times I was with a cane, a lot of physical therapy, but I really wasn't mentally motivating myself to do anything but sit on the couch and veg away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was mentally in a bad way. And that was where I had to come to the realization that I needed to get off that couch.
Was there like a particular moment or was it just a combination of thoughts that coalesced at some point?
It was a combination overall, but what happened is I was at my primary care physician and she had said, hey, we got to start off this stuff. DEA is coming down with new laws, yada. And I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? Enough's enough. Enough's enough. Why am I doing this?
Right.
And so I stopped and I remember sitting there and I remember taking off that patch and said, okay, here we go. This is when it starts.
So you took that patch off, never to have that patch on again. Is that right?
Yeah, she's sitting right here and we'll testify to that.
That's right. Yeah, I see her shaking her head. The patch came off, but probably still some of the oxys.
Yeah, it was like 4 days prior I had stopped the oxys. So
so you'd stop the oxys first.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. But it takes time for those to really start to just detach themselves from the muscle fibers and all the tissue and the cells. It was tough.
Yeah.
Tough, yeah.
So you pulled that patch off and then not back to any of it at any point?
Yes, I have not.
That's
and
amazing.
It was tough.
Yeah.
But, well, I've found ways to supplement that.
Such as?
So I started running and because I had ran. I've always on and off run in the military.
Yeah.
So I started running. I thought, this just got to be better than what I was doing.
Right.
So started running, and then, well, the neighborhood just wasn't big enough. So I expanded upon there. Then I thought, well, I'm starting to have these pains in my shins. I better get some good running shoes. So then I went and got fitted for good running shoes. And then I got fitted for that. Next thing I know, I said, I looked at my wife. I said, this is fun. I'm enjoying myself again. Let's do some racing. So 5Ks ended up into 10Ks, then 15Ks, then half marathons, and then on. And now I'm actually, my friend that I run with, one of her good friends. Well, we're going to start training for ultra marathons. So,
very nice. Which one?
We talked about doing the Pumpkin Hollow.
Yeah.
That one looks really inviting. Yeah. That looks really inviting. So, we may possibly do that one next year. And we were also talking about the Death by 5K. So that's
I'm not familiar with that one. Where's that at?
It's right here in Tulsa. It's a pretty neat little deal. It starts out on River West by there, and it runs a 5K. You get 2.5 hour breaks. So you get 2.5 hours to run it, take a nap, carb up, your nutrition, whatever you want to do, and then you start the next 5K. And this goes on for 10 segments. So you get your full 31 miles in. But it's a test of your strength and will, and really just it's a gut check. So it'd be just one of those, hey, let's see how far my body can go.
That's fun. Two of my boys and I did the 4x4x48. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
So you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
We started like 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Okay.
You go run 4 miles. Well, the next 4 miles is at 12. If you run a 10-minute mile, it took you 40 minutes, then you have 3 hours and 20 minutes to rest.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. And then at 12 o'clock, you run. But as you go, those miles get longer, right? So that's fine. There's no problem with that. But your rest gets shorter. So it's kind of the same thing on a much smaller scale. But it's 4x4x48. And, you're obviously running through the night.
That's with this Death by 5K. And they did the last, I think what it was at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty neat. So I texted her. I said, hey, have you seen this? Because another friend of mine, Travis, he ran it and he looked like he had a great time. So I told her, I said, hey, we need to check this out. This may be fun. Yeah. With the running, I don't know how to say this. I didn't feel like my time was consumed enough. So I started cycling.
Okay.
And that went downhill. Or shall I say, went out of control. Because next thing I know, I'm investing in this, investing in that. And then I became a project dudeman with Brad Huff.
Yes.
Old B-Rad. He's a good guy. He found his calling in his next life for sure. He's a motivational beast, and he really has a great tactic. And his mindset is it's at the same speed mine is, so I connect with him pretty good. So it's fun. We're having fun. He makes it fun.
It's interesting. He's been on the podcast, and he talks about when he retired. Same thing, very similar story. When he retired, he just struggled to find his purpose. But man, that guy has found his purpose.
Yes, he has.
Yes,
he has. And, yes, he has.
We just got to figure out a way to keep him in Tulsa with that purpose.
You betcha.
He may be too big for Tulsa, but Tulsa needs him.
We'll strap him down.
That's right. We can take him. He's not that big.
I think collectively we can take him. So we'll hold him down and make him stay here. But he's been great. He's been great for a lot of people. He's been great for the Dudeman. Being head dude, I'm watching not only the Dudeman grow, but just the people that ride with us and the comments that they make. Hey, or say, for instance, Wannabe made as, this is my favorite group to ride with, even though I'm not a dude.
Right.
I like riding with this group because you guys are great. You make it fun, and it's about skills, and it's not about, pressing it to the wall and killing each other and dropping people. So it's fun. It makes it more of a team camaraderie that gives you a little fulfillment.
Yeah. So. To me, the thing that makes Dudeman so great is the relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the bike and the sweat. Yeah. That's sort of the venue that we all sort of fall into. But the reality of it is just relationships that you develop without a doubt. That's the single most important thing in our lives, in my opinion.
The camaraderie. That's it's big. It's the friendships, the relationships. You find others that are out there for the same reasons you are. So you find a lot of common ground. You have a lot of the same drive. So it makes it more inviting the next time you want to go ride.
Right.
Because you know that you're going to talk about something in common.
Yeah.
And you're out there for the same purposes.
Yeah. So let's back up just a little bit. You were coming off of the prescription drug habit, and then you started to run. So 2 questions on that. One, I mean, obviously you had an injury that ultimately led to the prescriptions in the first place. So presumably from a physiologic perspective, most of that got better, at least to the point where you were able to run?
Well, yeah, it did. But I think more of it was mental.
Okay.
Even though I had a physical ailment at the time, it doesn't mean that I was completely incapacitated, but I was mentally incapacitating myself.
I see.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
So I just started small increments, and this didn't happen overnight, of course, but I just stayed with it. And now now I'm having fun.
Right. So when you started running, we always talk about the runner's high.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been blessed to not have much injury. And I think I know what that's like. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when I come back, it feels fantastic to me.
Oh, yeah.
But how does that compare to the feeling that you had that was like a true like opioid high? I mean, are they similar? Is there physiologically a similar high that you get from it?
You bet.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it gives. It gives me, I'm an addict.
Yeah.
So now I've had to replace that with something positive. And the first thing was awareness. I had to be aware that, hey, get up off this couch. Let's start getting your limbs back. Let's stay out of a wheelchair. Let's stay off the operating table. And then once I started getting that runner's high, that addiction just took over, and then it just kept growing and growing. And now we're at this point where I'm at, and I'm having fun.
Right. Do you get the same thing from biking?
Yeah, I do.
In an equal share? I mean, is one more intense? Is there a difference?
No, it's it's hard to explain. No, it's not hard to explain. They're both fun. I love it. It's at first I was watching this video with a bunch of groups of riders and stuff. And there's a young lady that she's out of Europe. She talks about it all the time. She's a big time. She just ran the Berlin Marathon. Well, she come on there and she just started taking, I forgot her name. And I've seen her a couple times, and she comes on with this video and says, I've got a thing that I really have to come clean with. Thinking, okay, here we go. She goes, I started cycling and I love it.
Oh no.
I love it. And I can't afford this. It's so expensive. Just going on. I'm thinking, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
It's addictive, but it's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
How old are you, Zach?
I am 52.
52. Okay. Do you have kiddos?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Do they participate in any running with you or biking?
No. They both live on the East Coast. My daughter lives in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both my son and my daughter do. My son works in DC mainly.
Okay.
He works for the union. He's a union electrician. My daughter, she works from the main office for the longshoremen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they both do real well. They've done real well with them. As far as the running and stuff, no, they sure don't. No, not right now. But,
right.
That's not to say that it couldn't materialize in the future, but I doubt it highly. But,
in time. Yeah.
Possibly,
time will tell.
Possibly.
Pam probably feels this way as well. But a lot of times I'll come home, and sometimes my habits, I think, could be construed as disruptive to the family, right? I'll come home and from work, and then I'll go run, and which will then delay eating. It's not like the Crawford family. We tend to eat around 9:00 at night, which is great because a bunch of them are off in college and what have you. But everybody that's here, we sit down at the table, we eat together. We always have.
Yeah.
But it might be at 9:00. But that's usually because I came home and went for a run or went and did Wednesday night ride or, and my kids will do it with me as well. But by all accounts, it would be disruptive. But my wife is a saint, and she just puts up with it. And I've heard her say multiple times, I'd rather it be this than you being at the bar. Yeah, I see a look of familiarity in Pam's face, So it's like it is a vice. What we're doing is a vice. And like anything, it can be taken to extremes, but it's also a virtue, right? I mean, when you have a habit that is generally regarded as self-improvement or beneficial, at least to you, it's easy to overlook the disruption that it sometimes may be causing in the family. And we're sort of at the age now where maybe it's not as disruptive, but have you encountered any of that? It might be a better question for Pam.
She's pretty supportive. She really is. Like you said, it's one of those, I could be doing this instead of
Right.
So she's been pretty supportive the whole way.
Yeah.
She has even made the comments, I'm glad you decided to do this. I can put up with this and deal with this way better than I can your addictions, the other addictions. And it's more beneficial for me, more beneficial for our marriage, everything. So
yeah. How long have y'all been married?
We just celebrated 14 years.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. No doubt a lot of the guys you were in the military with, you probably saw a lot of injury. You probably have a lot of friends that have gone down this same road. Maybe some of them didn't survive. Maybe some of them are still in that wheelchairs, whether it's a physical wheelchair or a mental wheelchair. What can we do for people that are in that situation? How can they be reached to help them see what you saw when you were in that situation?
Well, Doc, honestly, it really boils down to, okay, the individual that has that addiction, the individual who's in that wheelchair has to come to the realization themselves first that they can do it, or they're not going to get any help that's going to be worthy. They can be given all the help in the world, but until they get it in their own minds that they can do it, they're not going to do it. That was the point when I said I woke up. That was when I realized, hey, I'm going to do this for me. This is for me, not for anybody else. You do it for you. Everything else does fall into place. It really does. It falls into place like a puzzle. It's beautiful.
Just like it's supposed to.
Yes.
Are there things, does the military have programs to help support those veterans? Are there things to help them have that sort of insight that they need that? Or is it just a matter of kind of serendipity? We hope you find that.
They do. They offer a lot of programs. But the problem is with therapy, it's not something that can happen overnight. It's not something that can happen. It can take a matter of years to build a rapport before you can even open up. That's what happened to me. And this is speaking from firsthand knowledge. So you can have all the outlets in the world, but whether you want to take and utilize those, well, that's left up to the individual. They have to make up the decision. Hey, I want to do this for me. It's like saying state mandated therapy, and they go through the process, but they're back in the streets doing the same thing that they've done before, the same drugs, because they didn't really want to get off the drugs.
Yeah.
Or they didn't
invested.
No, they're not.
Yeah. That's a difficult situation because you want to shine the light on it for them, but if they don't feel it.
Yeah.
Another thing that is interesting is, you talked about the process from like when you were injured and all that time, probably the initiation of the medication was subtle, right? It was like a little bit here, a little bit there, and then it ramps up. And then one day you're addicted, right?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes guys just overtly go buy meth and make the choice to go down that road. But I think in our society, we have so much prescription medication, and it's probably well intended when it's given from the doctor to the patient. And, the government really, a few years ago, there was a lawsuit in Florida where a patient sued a physician because he didn't properly manage his pain. And there was a big settlement. And so kind of from that point forward, physicians then felt the obligation to, anytime a patient said they were in pain, you had to treat it. And actually, there was sort of a fifth vital sign developed. If you look historically, it used to be like pulse, respiratory rate, blood pressure, and temperature were the vital signs. And then now it's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10. And so you ask those patients, and really you're then no different than if I see a patient and they're breathing 40 times a minute. I can't just document that they're breathing 40 times a minute and walk away, right? I have to make some intervention. And so now the government sort of imposed these rules where if a patient says they have 8 out of 10 pain, you have to do something about it. So, of course, I'm a gastroenterologist. I'm a stomach and colon doctor. So, I mean, if you have pain with that, it's an emergency and you're in the emergency room. But primary care physicians, they're then obligated to do that. So it's well-intentioned probably by most of them to manage the pain, and the patient themselves probably just want to be out of pain. But then, like you said, when you become addicted, it's a completely different ball of wax. From a medical perspective, we don't have a good way to identify that and to roll those people out of it. So they just kind of are mired in it. And it's just this self-perpetuating system. And it's interesting, like the state of Oklahoma is now, they've really clamped down on these pill mills and all, which is great. But if you wanted to write a prescription, it's more and more difficult. So I think, we'll probably see some improvement in the pain management. But like anything, if the government's in charge of finding a solution, we're probably not going to find a solution there. I guess where I was going with that is it's a very subtle process where you get into such a bad situation, but then it's an equally subtle process to get out of it, right? So you ran 0.2 of a mile, and on this podcast, we talked a lot about health and wellness, and a lot of it's sort of obesity centric.
Mm-hmm.
But, health there's mental health, there's physical health, spiritual health, financial health. There's so many components to it. I always talk about you just start. That's the first part. And then you're just consistently applying what you started. So if it's 0.2 of a mile, a lot of people are thinking, well, that's not doing any good. But it's doing so much good. Maybe the first time you don't feel like you're doing good, but the 10th time, even if you didn't make it the whole 0.2, boy, the impact of that is probably as great as me and you going and doing an ultra.
Yeah.
Right. Speak to that a little bit if you could. Just, tell me from your perspective, like starting small and now you're training for ultras. Like, how does that feel to look back on that?
Well, it's something that it keeps motivating me, because where I started was, okay, let's just do this 0.3, half mile. That's it. That's what we'll work on. Wow. I can do 5Ks now, and this is where it's progressed. Hey, I want to try a 10K. Okay, let's do it. All right, cool. Wasn't so happy about that. Let's try setting some goals for that. Let's run a sub hour, or try doing a 50-minute 10K. Okay, yeah. Once we do that, then we'll, set another goal. What can I do? What can my body do? I've been set down to ground level. There's nothing but going up from here.
Right.
I mean, seriously. So I accomplish each little milestone marker, do a half marathon, do this, do that, marathon. Okay, let's set another goal. Let's see if we can do it. If I can't do it, my body will tell me in the long run. But until then, it hasn't said anything otherwise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, regardless of like I said, I'm just a veteran with a disability. I'm not incapacitated. I'm not disabled. Okay. It's just, but it's more a mental thing. It's really about pushing yourself to the limits and seeing what you can do. And for me, this has been way better, both mentally and physically, for me than just sitting around and dwindling away, for sure. I mean, that's only logical. But I guess my point is, people ask me, how do you maintain and do this being in pain? And I look at them and I say, honestly, I'm in less pain now than I was then.
Even on the pain medicine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is.
It doesn't make sense unless you're a runner.
Right. That's true. That's true. Very,
Yeah.
very true. Very true.
My kids, like I said, they run, they're pretty active. And my answer for everything is you just need to run more. So my son said the other day, we were talking about, we're signed up for a marathon up in Eugene, Oregon. One of my sons, my other sons, he's waffling on it. He said, well, I don't know. I think my knee's been hurting. I said, well, you just got to run more. That's the answer. You just have to run more. And they all kind of look at me cross-eyed. And that's probably, from a medical perspective, maybe not the right answer.
Right answer, yeah.
But from a running perspective, I don't know. It is. I know when I say it out loud, it sounds ridiculous. But if I'm hurting, if I go run, I'm probably hurting less. It may be different if I had a true injury, but there's a look of familiarity in your eyes over there.
Yeah, it's one of those, well, I've got some icy heat. I've got some magnesium cream. It'll be fine.
Right.
And I'll just run it out. If I'm feeling down today, I've done that. So, yeah, I feel a little rough. My chest you know what? I'm going to go run it out.
Yeah.
And I feel better afterwards. I always do.
Yeah.
So,
you talk about the disability that you sustained and how it was more mental than it was physical. I love the physical component of running and biking. I truly enjoy that. But it has more of a mental effect on me. Like, it makes me more efficient, more organized, easier to get along. I've told this story multiple times, but sometimes I'll be bitching about something, and my wife, it may be a legitimate complaint, right? But I would never be given the credit for that being a legitimate complaint. My wife will just look at me and say, did you run today? Yeah, because it's just sort of one of those things that if I don't run, I guess I just have a sour disposition, Like your disability, you say, is more mental. I think our therapy is, it's physical, but the reality of it is the benefit we get probably is between our ears and has nothing to do with our heart and lungs or legs.
it brings my ADHD back down to an even kill where my wife can handle it. So she does. She'll say it. Did you run today?
Yeah.
It's why she's sitting over there laughing.
Yeah.
I say that. But, she'll just say, you need to go run. I think you need to go bike ride or something. So, and then I'll come back and she's like, hey, have a good ride. Yeah. I had a great ride. Let's have dinner. I'm in a great mood.
Right.
It's just,
I know it's my life too.
Yeah. Yeah. But, at least we are collectively aware of what is beneficial for me instead of saying, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm having a bad day. Let's go drink a drink or let's go pop some pills. I've supplemented my lifestyle with something more beneficial.
Yeah.
So
that's a perfect description.
It was a dead end road. And that's why that's why I wanted to come on here. I wanted to explain my story and say, hey, it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that I ride with, they're like, wow, you've had how many surgeries?
Right.
How many fusions?
How many surgeries have you had?
We've had a total of 7, but that's combined with stimulators. I've had a bad stimulator that I had to have removed. The leads broke off and it started kind of cooking it was giving my kidney a little bit of a jolt that was too much for me. So so that was done. So just a few things that had to been changed out, but total it was 12, but it's just a couple reversal surgeries, things of that nature. But, and then I had my neck fused too. So it's just, it was just a ripple effect. So it's to know that I've been fused here and then now my lumbar and I got a stimulator in my hip to know that I'm out here running marathons and cycling 50 and 60 miles with no problem and having fun doing it. It's hard for a lot of people to really conceive.
The point of this podcast is to advance health and wellness. So we don't want to shame anybody, but guys like you, Zach, you take people's excuses from them, right? If you can go run with your spine fused in 2 places and 12 surgeries, somebody that just doesn't feel like running, they don't have a lot. There's not a lot of sympathy, right?
No, I've grown it to the point where it's, as she says, no excuses. There really isn't. I mean, what excuses are there?
Right.
I mean, you can give me excuses, but I'll prove you otherwise.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I used to make the same excuses.
Sure.
Drew, I did until I woke up and realized, you know what? All I'm doing is making excuses.
Yeah.
So enough.
You're right.
Stop being that person. So, and that's when, and then now I'm here where I'm at and I don't want to change. I'm enjoying where I'm at.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
How about biking? Do you have any biking goals?
Oh man, cycling is still relatively new for me. I've only been doing it for 2.5, 3 years now. So it's still relatively new, but I'm having a blast with it. I never expected that I would do, a 50 or 60 mile ride. We just did the Dam Jam. That was so fun.
Yeah. Is that up in Pryor?
Yeah. It was fun. And the community, I think I enjoy the running community. They're great. Mm-hmm. I love them. But the biking community is just as spectacular. It's just it's the crowd, it's the people, it's the community. It's on top of the high that I get from riding and doing a real good push. Riding with a large group like the Dudeman, it's just you get out there doing pace drills and pace line drills, and it's just so much fun.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're finished 30 miles, and you're just like, wow, let's go do some more. But I gotta go home. So,
do you do primarily road? Do you do mountain, gravel?
Else? Oh yeah, I do all.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do the gravel ride next weekend for the Osage Passage. You betcha.
What distance are you doing?
I'm only doing the 40.
Yeah, no, not only. You're doing the 40.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm riding with a couple others, so I'll do the 40 now and maybe venture off next year. We'll increase it next year.
Yeah,
sure, because it's fun. I enjoy it.
That's a great ride.
It is. It's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it out there. So I've already rode that course a couple of times. So we meet up at Zinc Ranch and do it on Saturday morning. So Brad's coordinating at that, but getting us in shape for it. So I guess like revisiting back, he found his calling for sure. But
so much so.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you would give to people, no matter where they're at in life, whether they're injured, not injured, obese, lazy, just don't feel like doing it, like anything? Do you have any advice?
I do, Drew, and that is to get out of your head. Most people get stuck in their own heads and they put themselves down. Whether it's obesity, an injury, whether it's addiction, whatever it is, you can do better for yourself. You really can. And once you do better for you, everything else falls into place. So and I guess what I mean by that, instead of sitting here making these goals, hey, I'm going to do this for you, or I'm going to do this for them, or I'm going to do this for my children or my grandchildren. If you do it for you, you're doing it for everybody and everything else falls into play.
Yeah. All the downstream.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does.
There's just a lack of intention for people. And maybe it's just because we live in a society where things all come relatively easy for us, that we don't have that grit that maybe our grandparents and great grandparents had to have. And so, just the intention of doing whatever and finding that spot and drilling down on it, like you said, for yourself. And then all the collateral benefit goes to those around you.
It does.
One last thing, does diet or nutrition, has that ever been a part of either a problem or a solution for you? Or have you always just been, you're a lean guy in good shape? Is that one of those things that's just always been that way for you? Or?
Well, it's never always been that way. No,
Yeah.
I've had to change. Once I changed my lifestyle back to what I call the right path.
Mm-hmm.
That comes also with the right nutrition. So I don't drink sodas anymore. I don't drink any of that stuff. No, none of that. Sugars. I watch what I eat. Yeah. So yes, nutrition and diet is very essential.
Yeah.
Nowadays. So I take more notice to my nutrition and dieting now than I ever did in my entire life, even while in the military. So.
And it feels so much better, when you are physically active, if you're eating right. It just feels better.
You do.
Some time ago, I started eating essentially no added sugar.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to the extremes of no sugar, right? But no added sugar. And then, a few months ago, we took a trip. And before that, I sort of lightened up on my no sugar a couple weeks before the trip because I didn't want to be the grumpy old guy. Like, I can't eat that. It's got sugar in it, on vacation. So I did that. It felt okay. Like on vacation, it was fine. But then when I came back, I didn't roll right back onto that same diet. So then I'd get back into running and all. And man, I would just I'd get up in the morning. I'd just kind of achy and just kind of sort of feel like shit. And you're just like, ugh. And at first I kind of thought, well, gosh, it's because I was running. In fact, my wife even said, well, yeah, you ran 15 miles. That's why it hurts. Like, well, yeah, but it shouldn't, And I pulled the sugar out and it's back to normal,
Yeah. That stuff is bad for you.
Yeah.
It's really not good for you at all.
What we're told is healthy and the appropriate diet. And, to your point, what we're told is the answer to your pain. I don't know that it's not well intended by the government. I don't know what the motivation is, but in the end, so much of what we're told and taught is just inaccurate. And just, I think having a venue like this to talk about these things and to show like really there are alternatives and they really do work, even though they sound absurd.
It goes back to what you started to hit on. It's what we were indoctrinated to. We don't know different. That's what we see on television. It's what we see all over when we drive, every restaurant, every McDonald's, Burger King, what have you. So, and we've gotten away from those home cooked meals and values that we once had in the homes, and we were just talking about that the other day about how bland our dinners are. But you know what? I like my bland dinners.
Right.
They're healthy. They're great. We eat a lot of vegetables and baked chicken. So, and grilled chicken products. But that's us. That's, we like to have dinner at home. We don't eat out anymore. So it's those kinds of things. So it's just changing your lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you want to hit on? Is there anything else that you want to share or advice for anybody?
No, actually, I think we've hit on everything that is pretty important to me.
Yeah.
This was good.
Man, it's a great story. And it's just so good to get these stories out there for people to hear.
And I wanted to tell this story. I've wanted to tell this story many, many times, especially to people that I ride and run with. They just go along and they probably have no idea that I have enough hardware in me that I set detectors off when I go through the airport. It happens.
Sure.
It just is. So, but it doesn't limit me.
Yeah.
It doesn't incapacitate me. And I'm not disabled. I'm just a veteran with disability.
I love that. Well, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you coming and
Thank you.
telling your story. And
Thank you.
It'll be great to get it out there and let everybody hear it and learn from it. And
hopefully, I hope it'll actually touch somebody.
It already has, I can tell you. This guy sitting right here.
My hopes is there's a lot of things that I'd like conveyed to someone. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. You were in that situation with addiction. It's possible to overcome it. It's going to be tough, but that's like anything in life. But you're going to thank yourself afterwards. I promise you.
That's perfect, Zach. I'm your host, Dr. Drew Crawford. Join me next week as we go beyond measurements and image to build healthier lifestyles and elevate your well-being on the BMI Podcast. See you then. The BMI Podcast is provided for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute providing medical advice or professional services. Be sure to check out our description below for our website and social media platforms.